Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar this morning, Deep Dive into SEO. My name is Lauren Garcia, and I'm on the internal marketing team here at Whereoware. Just a couple of housekeeping things I want to get out of the way before we get started. First of all, if you're on Twitter, feel free to tweet along with us using the hashtag #WowWebinar. We'll be sending out an email either this afternoon or tomorrow with a copy of the recording, the slides, a publicity toolkit, and our SEO checklist for you to download. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to ask them in the questions box on your screen, and we'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to our search and analytics partner, Teya and Christina Daves, the founder of PR for Anyone. So ladies, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Teya Flick. I'm a partner here at Whereoware. And as Lauren said, I head up the search and analytics team, and I've been doing this for about 10 years. So I have lots of experience, and I can't wait to share it with you all.
And my name is Christina Daves. I am the founder of PR for Anyone. And one thing that's really important as we go through this whole presentation is I'm not a publicist. So everything I did on my own, figured it out. I invented a product. I didn't have money for advertising or PR firm, so I had to do it all myself. So it's what I do every single day in my business. I'm a best-selling author on the topic of do-it-yourself publicity. And what's really important is together with my students, we've generated over 8 figures in sales from free publicity. So I'm really excited to share, what Teya and I have together for you today.
Awesome. We'll quickly breeze through a little bit about Whereoware. We are a privately held digital agency with over 17 years of experience. We do websites, email, SEO, pay-per-click, mobile applications, and data integration. And we do all of that for a very large breadth of clients, from e-com, B2B, B2C e-com, and then also service companies.
And what we're going to share with you today is just a proven fact that the more visibility you get, the more customers you get, the more customers you get, the more profits you make. So you can see as we go through this today, the power of publicity and a strong social media following. You guys can, yep, there you go. How it becomes so important to have that really loud megaphone. And that's what we're going to show you guys how to do today.
Great. So with that, we're going to kind of dive right into the presentation. Some of you might have joined us on the SEO 101 presentation that we did probably around 6 months ago. And at that time, I promised to do like the next level SEO presentation, and that is this. So what we're going to do today is kind of briefly review a little bit on the SEO basics that we covered in the last webinar. And that webinar is available and will be available in the email that Lauren mentioned that will be going out after this in case you didn't get to that previously. So we'll review the SEO basics. We're going to kind of get into link building, which is one of the more difficult aspects of SEO. And then we're going to talk through how to measure success. All right, so let's get into the brief overview of SEO. In case you're not familiar with it, search engine optimization, or SEO, really focuses on the non-paid or organic search engine results. And over the last few years, Google has really focused on making your website about your users. So that means really great content, making it easy to find things. So everything that you would really do for usability is also kind of matches with what you should be doing on the SEO side of things. And just in case you didn't think SEO was important, which I think most people do, otherwise you wouldn't be on here, organic is generally the primary channel for website traffic. It drives 51% of searchers to your website. All right, so let's kind of get into the basics that we covered last time. We're going to start with on-page SEO, and that's kind of the practice of optimizing individual pages on your website in order to rank higher. So let's break down what a typical organic search listing looks like. You have the link, which is that blue part. In this example, it's the DSW women's shoe, free shipping, dsw.com. And that is generally controlled by your title tag, which is kind of a little piece of code that you modify on your website. And lots of times it's available to modify through your CMS. The next piece is the URL structure. So on this, you can see it says ad. This is an ad, but it's typically what an organic search result looks like. But it's going to be what the URL is on the website that displays. And then lastly, you're going to have the meta description, and that kind of, I view it as the reason why someone should click through on your link. All right, so let's talk through kind of best practices for your title tags and meta descriptions. Again, you're going to see on the title tag, it generally shows up on your search results. That's the blue part. In this instance, it's purple because we had clicked on it. And then it also shows up on the tabs, which you can see on the left side of your screen, the tab portion of your website. And again, lots of times you should be able to modify this through your CMS. The main part that you want to consider is making sure it's unique and compelling for each page. That means you have to go through every single page of your website and make sure the title tag is completely unique for each page. And sometimes, depending on how large your website is, it's a pretty big undertaking. The second piece is that you want to make sure you're keeping to character limits. So in Google, the character limits for title tags are generally 50 to 60 characters. And that's because Google will just stop displaying the text after 50 to 60 characters. And that same thing goes for the meta description. You have a little bit more room, 155 characters. So you could see in this example that we're showing, it says whether you are ... That's what Google will do if you go over the 155 characters. It will cut off your text. And that might be okay for you as long as you're front loading all of that great content and making a compelling reason for people to click through early on. And then lastly, you want to make sure it always includes your keywords. All right, the next piece of on-page optimization is going through your alt tags. And your alt text is a description of what the image is on your website. So Google doesn't have any eyes, obviously, so it can't see what the image is, and instead it uses the alt text to understand what the image is supposed to be. And the same principles that apply for the title tags and meta descriptions are going to apply for your alt tags too. You want to make sure that it describes the image well, it's compelling, and it includes your keywords, that it's under 140 characters, and that every single image on your site has an alt text. And it's not only for SEO purposes, it's also a usability issue. So if someone can't see very well or is blind, it's really important that you use alt tags so that the speaking software that they use can describe what the image is to them as they're using your website. All right, so the third part of the SEO basics is the URL structure. So a well-written URL can serve as its own anchor text when it's copied and pasted into links or forums, or social media, or any other type of online venue. And as you can see on this example, the one on the left doesn't have a great URL structure. You can't really tell where you're going to end up if you click on it. Whereas the one on the right is really clear as to where the person's going to end up. And that's really what you should think about as your URL. Can you actually tell where you're going to be taken when you are copying and pasting a URL someplace? And that's pretty much as simple as it gets for SEO. You want to make sure that your URL structures are really readable. And then I have a couple other key tips here. Again, it's simple, concise, relevant, accurate. It's shorter than 2,083 characters, which is really long. Is it following an ideal format? So generally, you want to have your main domain, which in this example is example.com. Then you want to use / your category keyword, a subcategory keyword, and then the primary keyword. And that's generally how you want your URLs to look. We suggest always using all lowercase letters because uppercase letters may cause some duplicate page issues. And just not to get in too deep into duplicate page issues, because we do go over that in the 101 webinar, Google devalues duplicate if you have duplicate content on pages. So you want to try to avoid that, and one way to do that is using all lowercase all the time. And then lastly, you want to use hyphens to separate your words. So you don't want to use underscores. The best practices is to use hyphens. Okay, so lastly on the SEO basics side, we're going to talk a little bit about local SEO. So really, the most important thing about local SEO is getting NAT consistency. And so you'll hear that a lot. NAT stands for name, address, and phone number. So that means that every single place that you have your listing of your business, it needs to be consistent across the board. So the phone number should be the same on your website as it is on Google+, as it is on Facebook, as it is on Twitter. And you want to make sure your address is the same across the board, and your address, your physical address. And the reason why is if you have it in one place different, Google doesn't know which phone number that it should be serving up. So it will devalue your local listing if those don't all match. So that's really the main portion of local SEO, is making sure that you get your listings up and that they're all consistent. And we go into a little bit more depth in the 101 webinar, but I wanted to just do a quick review on the basics today. So with that, we're going to really do a deep dive into link building today. Link building is the process of acquiring hyperlinks from other websites to your own website. So that's if for example, a blog post might mention your website and it has a hyperlink to your website from their website, and then you get traffic from that website, the blog website, over to your website. So that is generally what link building means. It's a signal to Google on how it should be ranking your website. So it's going to, it uses links to crawl the web and discover all new pages that are kind of relating to a specific topic or keyword. And then it will calculate the popularity of those pages and determine the relevancy of the results to a searcher's query. So if you get high quality, and that's the key, high quality links to your website, it will help you rank better and get more traffic. And I'm talking about this today, and we didn't really cover in 101 because it's one of the more difficult things or aspects of search engine optimization. So what are the types of links that you can get? One is, the first type is a natural or editorial link. This generally requires less work, and people typically call it an earned link. The next way is a manual outreach or link building, and that means you're manually reaching out to website owners and bloggers to get them to write about your company or write about a specific topic and link back to you. And the third type, which is something that you want to try to avoid, is self-created non-editorial links. And the reason why this is really important to not do anymore is because Google's algorithm starts penalizing you for spammy linking. And one of those is basically doing these self-created or non-editorial links. These are the easiest type to do. It's blog comments, it's press releases with really optimized anchor text. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how to avoid that. It's article directories. It's basically anything that you would consider spam in your own reading. Don't do that, is the basic rule there. So let's talk about natural links. The best way to get natural links is to create high quality content. I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to have unique research or custom high quality visuals or embedded content, guest content that's relevant for your target audience, and even contests are a great way to create high quality content. Once you have that high quality content, you want to use social and PR to amplify that. And Christina is going to go into more detail about how exactly you should do that to get the best bang for your buck. And then the third way is to do a guest blog post. So to ask folks if you can write on their blog, and that's another way to get a natural high quality link. The second one that we talked about earlier was the manual links. And the first thing you want to do for manual links is research where you should link. And moz.com, where a lot of this information is pulled, is a great resource to kind of figure out where you should be linking. Another way to do it is to type in your search term that you want to rank for, and then go to Wikipedia or Blogspot, a couple of main directories to kind of figure out who is writing about a topic that you want to rank for, so that you can actually manually reach out to that person that owns that blog or website and ask if you can put it in, if you can write a blog post on it or help them out with a specific research with content that you have on your website. And that's kind of how you do that manual outreach. And some key tips that we have on here to make that contact more personable and more likely to be successful is you don't want to just copy and paste the same message to hundreds of people. They're going to quickly realize that it is a copy and pasted message and that they're going to ignore it. The second one is you want to interact with them. You want to ask about their day and week and how's it going. You want to keep your requests really brief. They've found that female personas, sorry guys, tend to have more success. And then lastly, people have seemed to have found more success on a Friday for whatever reason. Maybe people are in better moods. So those are tips on when you reach out to other blog owners or websites to kind of get your website linked. All right, so let's talk about tactics to build your links. The first place that we want to talk about is social media. So there's a correlation between social media shares and ranking positions, but it's probably not exactly what you think. You don't get you get zero credit for anyone who is like sharing a post about you. That doesn't really impact your search results. What will impact your search results is if someone sees that content and then decides to write about it. So in this example here, Travel Fashion Girl posted about this awesome content they had, right? About what you should wear when you're traveling. So, and then this Rosebud blog actually picked that up. Maybe they saw it on social media and decided to write about it and link back to the Travel Fashion Girl's website. And so that is where you really earn that SEO juice. And that's really your goal in social media, is to amplify that great content that you have and get it out there so that people will pick it up on their own and write about it. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Christina to talk through how to build a really strong social media presence, which can then help boost those natural links back to your website.
Awesome, awesome. So you can see right here on this slide that this realtor has 23,000 people who like her. So think about, you're going to check people out before you work with them. People are going to check you out before they work with you. So you've got to stand out. You've got to have a presence somewhere. Don't feel like you need to be on every single platform. Do one platform and do it really, really well, and then move on to another one. And as I mentioned earlier, I walk the walk. I actually just started Instagram this year. So my LinkedIn's good, my Facebook's great, my Twitter's great, and I was finally ready to move on. I wasn't ready to do it well. So that's really, really important to think about, and think about who you would want to work with. Do you want to work with somebody who has 20,000 followers on Facebook or somebody who has 20? So we're going to start with step one on how you do this, which is a high visibility social media plan. We want you to stop making noise and start making money. You can make money through social media, but it's really important that you create a content strategy. So here are some things that you can use when you're putting your content together. And I want you to think about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, give great value, give great content, and then it's okay to, quote unquote, sell 20% of the time. People, there's so many studies on that, and people don't mind as long as you're not sell, buy for me, buy for me, buy for me. So what's good content? What can you put out there 80% of the time? So trending topics and hot content. What can you relate your business to that's going on in the world right now? And if you want to know what's going on in the world right now, you can go to trends.google.com. And on Twitter, they always have, what's trending, what's hot. So take a look at those and see, what you can do, what you can relate your business to what's going on in the world. I definitely recommend staying away from politics. It's just too hot of a topic, and you could lose half your audience. So stay away from that. There's plenty of good, positive stuff that you can relate your business to. Eye-catching visuals. It used to be back in the day, you could do a post on Facebook that was just some words and people would see it. That doesn't happen anymore. You really have to have something that's catching somebody's eye. And if you're not using Canva, C-A-N-V-A, canva.com, I highly recommend checking it out. I always joke that I am the most untechnological person you will ever meet. So if I recommend a resource, it's got to be so easy. So Canva is literally, oh, here's an Instagram post template. Here's a Facebook post template. You drag and drop. They give you pictures. You can upload a picture. They give you pretty fonts. Boom, you're done. You download. It's the perfect size. You don't even have to think about it. Then the next one is engaging video. I just was at an event last week, and the person was a video expert, and he said in 2019, and this statistic is crazy, in 2019, 80% of all content is going to be consumed through video. So it's so important that you start putting that into your marketing piece. You've got to start generating video, because that's not just millennials, that's everybody. 80%, that's how they want to consume content. And then the last one is hashtags. Hashtags are how you get found. And I just want you to start using hashtags. Start making it, part of your muscle memory. Maybe you get an index card, or you use your notes on your phone. Spend some time and do some research on what hashtags are relevant to your business. What are people searching for? So then when you're going to do a post, you've got this card and you've already researched, maybe you have 50 hashtags there. And you can put on, as many as you want. A friend of mine who's very strong and good on Instagram said to me, she said, I hope you're using 20 hashtags on every Instagram post. I thought, I'm lucky if I have 10, but I'm working on it. I'm building my muscle memory. And remember, when you're using hashtags and you're posting, you're doing things like that, I want you to think outside of the box. I want to share a great story. A friend of mine had a client who owned a bait and tackle shop. And what he would do is he would search for the hashtag of that river. And if anybody on here are fishermen or women, what do you do when you catch a big fish? You take a picture of it and you post it. So he would look for those pictures, and then he would write on the post, hey, this is great. What lure did you use to catch that fish? And he would start to engage, and it's not creepy or stalking, because it's, they're in the same world. Like, this is what they love. So the people would usually respond, and he said, hey, I just got this new lure in. Why don't you come to my shop? I've got one for free for you. It's behind the counter with your name on it. Well, how many fishermen and women are going to go into a bait and tackle shop and only take the free lure? Of course not. They're going to buy stuff. So this grew his business exponentially. So I want you to think about that kind of stuff. It's this outside of the box thinking that will really, really grow your business in social media. So that's step one, your content. I hope you feel good. I hope you can get 80% of your content with that. Step two is implementation made easy. And I know, and I'm just like you guys, I have no time. I'm really busy, and you guys aren't social media managers. So it's time to automate. And there we go. So every single platform has tools to automate. Just in the essence of time, we're just going to talk about Facebook right now. A lot of people don't know that you can schedule posts on Facebook. And this is where you really want to put that evergreen content. It's not really timely stuff. It's stuff you can plan out a little bit. You know, maybe you do motivational Mondays or wisdom for Wednesday, or just something fun that you have, and you can schedule that or have somebody schedule that. And it's just as easy as writing a post. You put your post in, and instead of publish, you hit the little arrow, and then you just schedule whatever date you want to do it. So that will make your life so much easier. When you wake up in the morning, you're not like, oh, what am I going to do on social media today? You know you've got some good content scheduled out. And then when things happen in your industry or something you want to share about your business, you just put a post in there. And if you happen to have one scheduled already, just move it to the next day, and then you can share your post that day. But they all have them. So this is just how easy it is to do it on Facebook. And then steps 3 and 4 are to grow your fans and to engage and profit. And I know there are a lot of people here today who don't even have a Facebook business page, unfortunately. And I highly recommend that you do that. I actually have a client who had her personal page shut down. Facebook will shut you down if you're doing too much business on your personal page. The way the algorithms are set up, you will get better results. And I know you're thinking, but I have more friends on my personal page than I do. And that's how you're going to grow your business page. And then many of you can't get fans. Like, you can't figure out, you've got a page. It's like, how in the world do I get them? So this is the #1 tip right here, is Facebook Live. And I know there was like, just everybody kind of cringed and was like, oh, I don't want to do live video. I'm so uncomfortable with it. I want you guys to try. It's all muscle memory. The first time I did a Facebook Live, I forgot to turn the lock off on my phone, and it looked good when I was doing it. And then when I uploaded it, I was sideways. But people who know me appreciated that, and it was funny and it was authentic. That was really me trying my first Facebook Live. I did not lose any clients because of that. Nobody cared. It was really funny. So just start doing it. I used to own a retail store with my best girlfriend, and one night I had gone to the store to buy some stuff, and she hadn't priced it yet, and she's like, oh, I'll price it and we'll just go meet for happy hour and have a glass of wine. And she goes, you can help me get more customers in the door, which again, it's what we all want. So we met at this little place. We're sitting outside, and I said, you've got to turn on your camera. You've got to do Facebook Live. And I wish you could know my girlfriend and my ex-business partner, because she does not like pictures. She does not like video. She had just worked probably a 10-hour day. She was not interested. I'm like, Barbara, let's just do it. So I grabbed her phone. We turned the camera on. I started pulling the stuff out of the bag. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. We had 7,000 views on that video. She only has 2,000 followers on Facebook. She grew her business by 20% in 1 month. And I will tell you that she is doing Facebook Lives all the time now, all the time. And the first ones were not great. They really weren't. That wasn't her comfort zone. But now it's like, it's muscle memory. Just do it, do it, do it. And it's made a huge, huge impact on her business. I worked with a real estate agent who had a stale listing. And I said, oh my gosh, you've got to try a Facebook Live. Like, go through the house with imagine you lived here. Imagine your 70-inch TV here for the Super Bowl. And she actually didn't even know the difference between a recorded video and a live video. Like, we were at bare basics. So I got on a Zoom with her, and I step by step, this is how you do it. And she went to the stale listing, and she walked through, and she did a Facebook Live, and she got 4 contracts on that house. So I'm telling you, it's so, so important. And Facebook just changed all of their algorithms. So they want this stuff. Facebook now wants to be like a media outlet, like a news outlet. So by doing these Facebook Lives, you're playing into what they want and their algorithms, and you're going to get more people to learn about you and your business. And at the end of the day, with all these Facebook Lives, I want you guys to be like ambassadors of your community or ambassadors of your industry. I want you to become Facebook famous. Maybe do a show, at the same time every week that you talk about your business. I have a realtor who does Coffee with Casey, and a financial planner who does financial tips, same time every single week. So this is where you're providing value. You're not selling. You might, if, like I said, the listing, maybe you walk through, that's part of your 20%, but it's where you're really providing value to your audience. And by doing all of this stuff, you're going to grow your digital footprint. And that's so, so, so important. The social media and the free publicity, it gives you this organic SEO. And like I said, people are going to check you out. And I love to tell the story. 2 years ago, if you had typed Christina Daves into Google, you would have gotten Christina Aguilera because she owned all the SEO Google juice on the name Christina. Well, now if you type in my name, you get about the first 14 pages of Google. And I tried to get a meeting. I'm one of these people, I'll try anything and I'll ask anything. And I wanted to meet with the president of a local credit union. This is a $40 billion credit union. I had a really good idea for us to work together. So I sent him an email on Monday and he replied and said, can you be back in my office? Can you be here in my office on Friday? So I go in, it's beautiful penthouse glass. I'm overlooking DC. And he walks in his office and he said, do you know what happens when you Google you? And that's why I got the meeting. And that's why all this stuff we're talking about, all this SEO, the free publicity that you get when you get those links back, you know, you're riding coattails. Somebody else writes about you. They have more Google juice than you do. And that's why I have those 14 pages of Google, because I strategically made sure that I was, you know, I got myself in articles or pitch stories that I hoped would get covered in places that had much stronger SEO and Google juice than I had, because that just pulls you right up in the rankings. So I hope you get a good feel for social media and PR and why that's so important and how it all ties together with this SEO. And now
Great.
I will hand it back over to you, Teya.
Sounds good. All right, so let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into press specifically, or PR. So I'm going to just straight out say that press releases don't really have any SEO value, and they haven't for years. So what is the value if it isn't for SEO and being picked up? Really what it is you need to be a lot more smarter and specific about who you're reaching out to. It's about doing targeted outreach. And again, it's all about who picks you up to write the article. Doing like a spammy, like push out PR web to everybody isn't really going to work. You really have to find the right contacts in order to, and pick relevant authoritative sites to get your press releases on. So if you do decide to go the PR route, we do have a couple of best practices to avoid any SEO penalties. So over the years, not only has Google basically started ignoring press releases, they actually start penalizing you if you're doing spammy press releases. So in order to avoid those penalties, you really want to make sure you're not including a ton of links. Really, you should be doing 1 or 2 links for your press release, and then all those should be calls to action to get people to visit to your website or learn more. You do not want to put in a ton of keywords that are anchored, like let's say you want to rank for diamond rings. You don't want to put diamond rings and then link diamond rings to your website. Again, that is something that I would usually be like, oh, you've traditionally always heard that's really great for SEO. But unfortunately, Google now has seen through people doing that and considers it very spammy. The third thing that you want to consider is if you do want to add more links to your press release, like you feel like they are adding value, you can add rel no follow to your link. And it's just basically a little piece of HTML code that you add to your links so that you tell Google you can ignore those links, so Google won't penalize you. So that would be only if you're really striving to have people, you're adding value to people and you want them to go to a specific page on your website. If you have a bunch of those, then you would just want to include that no follow link. So I'm going to just throw this out here. This is an example of a bad press release. This actually comes from Google. Google themselves. They said this was a bad example of a press release. And if you think all those like wedding rings, wedding, best ring, buy flowers, wedding dress are all hyperlinked to specific pages on your website, that just screams spammy. So with those few quick tips around SEO, I'm going to pass it back to Christina so she can kind of tell you how to best reach out to those specific people that are going to provide you high quality, authoritative links back to your website.
Right, awesome. So, you don't need to use press releases. In today's day and age, it's so easy to get to the right people. And this is a great resource. It's called HARO, Help a Reporter Out, and the website is helpareporter.com. I'm actually one of their biggest success stories. I use it all the time. I've been on national television, in national magazines repeatedly, and that's how I got those 14 pages of Google. And that's how you're riding their coattails. This is Huffington Post, Forbes, Entrepreneur. I got on the Steve Harvey show this way. I'm going to show you a hack in a minute that I use. It's how I got on Dr. Oz. So it's awesome to sign up. I will tell you, the first time you see it, you're going to say, oh my gosh, Christina, you're crazy. I'm not going to do this. You're going to get these emails and you look at them, you get them 3 times a day, and you're going to say it's overwhelming and you don't want to do it, but you really, really need to do it, because the value that you will get by being in all these amazing media outlets, and the SEO that you'll get, and the credibility that you get when people check you out, because they are definitely going to check you out. So on the next slide, I'll show you what a query looks like. So what it is, it's journalists who are looking for quotes or guests on their shows, or somebody who's an expert in something. And you can see here, this one is Huffington Post. Here's another one that's Medical Daily. So these are really good, high-ranking blogs. Like I said, I was on Steve Harvey. So this is worth your time. And once you get used to it, so you're going to sign up, and I'll give you a little sidebar. They're going to reach out to you to try to take their paid service. You don't need their paid service for what you're doing, what I'm doing. I've never paid for it. I've been on it for 5 years. I've had, like I said, I'm one of their biggest success stories. I actually blog for them because I've had so much success. So you don't need that. But just get used to looking at the queries, saving your answers, do some boilerplates. But this is worth 10 to 15 minutes a day, every day, just because of the benefits that you'll get when you get picked up by some of these. So next, I'm going to give you my hack. So what you want to do the whole goal here is to build relationships with the right journalists in your industry. And it can be done, and I do it every single day, and I have people in the media on my phone now that I can text at any time, and it's because I've built relationships with them. So what you want to do is you want to take that person after you do a HARO query. Don't send something in that's not relevant. And you put their name in, and I have her last name blocked out because they have privacy rules, but you put their name in, and then the media outlet and LinkedIn, and boom, here she pops up. So instead of just connecting, I always recommend that you put a note in there. So, hi, Janissa, I just responded to your HARO request about X, Y, and Z. If I can be of assistance on this story or any others, please let me know. Let's connect on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to see my credentials as well. And then when she connects, what I want you guys to do is do a follow-up email. Thanks so much for connecting. Look at her profile, his or her profile. Find something that's really appealing to you. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing that you worked here. I worked here a few years ago. We probably know some of the same people. Something that can just connect you to them, anything at all. And then at the end, I'm always up. I'm here to help for any of your stories, and I'm always up for collaborating. So feel free to reach out. And you used to be able to tag your journalists on LinkedIn. You can't do that anymore. So I recommend a Google Doc as you connect with them. And, journalists move around a ton. So I would definitely keep that Google Doc, pop into their LinkedIn periodically. This right here works. I have somebody just really recently was in a national magazine by doing this. I spoke at an event and she went and did it, and somebody was in the Wall Street Journal. So that's just like in the last month, and that's people who reached back out to me and told me, hey, this really works. So this is a great hack, great way to build a relationship with a journalist. Stay in touch with them, see what they're posting on LinkedIn, on Twitter, like, engage, share, and start really building those relationships with the journalists, because the SEO that you get when they start covering you and the links back is invaluable to your business.
Great. All right, so let's talk about, now that we've kind of done a little bit of a deep dive into link building, let's talk about how you really measure success. So again, some of this is a review from last time. Years ago, you used to be able to see exact keywords that people use to find your site in Google Analytics, which is always one of my favorite recommended tools. It's free, easy to use. To put on your website, but Google has long since taken away that ability from Google Analytics reports, but we have a few ways around it. So I'm going to talk through a couple of my favorites. My first go-to is always in Google Analytics, the channel report, which you can see here on my screen. And I like this because it's going to quickly give you basics on how organic search is performing, and it has like an organic search column, and it will let you know really quickly how many visits you've had. You can compare over time periods to see if those visitors have increased or decreased. You could see your e-commerce conversion rate if you have e-com. You can see gold conversion rates if you have gold set up in Google Analytics. So that report's just like a quick snapshot of how you're performing. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into it, two other of my favorite reports for SEO in Google Analytics are the referrals report, which is the one that is on your left. And this one is great to really see how those backlinks are performing for you. So where are people linking from? So you can see here, DCNO is a place where we got coolest company to work last year. And so they actually wrote an article about us and linked from their website to our website. So you can see here, that's one of our top referral sources now. And you'll be able to see all of your referral sources as well as you start doing more link building. And then the second one, which is on the right, is the landing page report. And since Google took away the ability to see specific keywords, this landing page report is a little bit of a workaround to see where people are landing. For example, from Whereoware's website, you can see one of our top landing pages is a blog post that we wrote about direct versus search engine versus referral traffic. So if you can believe it, the keywords that people are looking for are search versus referral traffic or direct versus search engine traffic. And those are the keywords that people use to kind of land on that web page. All right, so the second tool I want to talk about is Google Search Console. It was formerly Google Webmaster Tools. It's pretty simple to put on your site. Lots of people don't have it, so that's why I always start with Google Analytics, because more people have that installed. You can actually install this through Google Analytics if you are an admin for both the Google Search Console and Google Analytics. You should be able to do it through Google Analytics, but if you can't, really all you do is add a really small snippet of code to your homepage in order to get this installed. And the reason why I really like this is that you actually get to the keywords level data for your website. So you can see here on the left, you can see all the queries that we show up for, or the top 10 that we show up for. And you can see impressions. The impressions column is telling you how many times has your website shown up in Google search for that specific keyword. So direct search, which is linking back to that one blog post that we wrote, we showed up 2,287 times in the time period that this report is showing for. And then 204 of those times, people actually clicked through to our website. And you're going to also see the ranking, so the position that you're ranked for that term. So for direct search, we are in position 14.4 at the time of this report. That generally is what slot are you on the page, 14th. That's usually around a page 2 or 3 result. Obviously, position 1 is a first page result, usually 5 is a first page result. So it will tell you where you are on the listings. And obviously, you're always aiming for a first page result. It tends to perform, get higher click-through rates. But you can see even our direct search term, which is the third query down, is getting a pretty high click-through rate for being, on the third page of the search results. All right, so the second report that I like to look at in Google Search Console is the links to your site. And then, again, this is kind of getting at the referral report that you saw in Google Analytics, but it's a little more granular. So if you come to this, links to your site, and then you click on download latest links, what you're going to get is an Excel file that has all the links to your website and when they were discovered. So I like this report because you can actually see if those link building tactics are working and when they actually work. So if you're doing one of the techniques using help a reporter out, HARO, and you've reached out to a specific contact, or that contact works for a specific organization, and you had started building a relationship with them, you could see exactly when they actually started linking back to your website from. So that's why I use this report. So with that, there's a lot of other ways to measure success. Those are just a few of the simple and easy ones that I use on a regular basis. So we kind of want to do basic key takeaways to wrap up everything and then allow you to have some questions. So basic SEO, you want to make sure that you're using unique, compelling title tags and meta descriptions and alt tags. You want to keep it condensed so that you can keep it within the character limits. You want to make sure you're including keywords. And then for local SEO, NAP is really important. So that means a name, address, and phone number are consistent in everywhere you're listed. The second piece, link building, obviously it's a very difficult part of SEO. It takes a lot of effort and work, but by using some of the social techniques that Christina mentioned and PR techniques, you can really start building up that portion of your practice. Do you have any additional tips there, Christina?
No, I just really encourage people to turn their phones on, get that Facebook Live going, and sign up for HARO. Like I said, just one article, just one, I said I've done it for 5 years, and if I never got anything else, and I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of placements, but if I had just gotten the Steve Harvey show, that transformed my business. So it's so worth that 10, 15 minutes a day to start getting really good at that.
Awesome. And then lastly, of course, you need to measure and measure and measure, because you don't know how your efforts are actually performing unless you actually measure the effect of them. So before we start jumping into questions, please start putting your questions in now. Lauren's collecting them so that we can answer them. I did want to mention that we have some special offers. Whereoware has an SEO audit that's normally $5,000. It will now be $4,500 until the end of March. It's a 10% off. PR for Anyone has an awesome free publicity toolkit that we will be sending out and that you'll have access to. And then also please keep in mind our next webinar is going to be on optimizing your website and user experience, and that's going to happen in April. So with that, I was going to pass it to Lauren so she could let us know what types of awesome questions are being asked.
Thank you so much, Teya. We got some really good questions throughout the webinar. So there are a couple about local SEO. Someone wants to know how you should set it up if you have locations in multiple towns.
That's a great question. So my suggestion, the best practices for SEO is one, that you have a different page on your website for each location. So you have a page like, let's say that you have one in Virginia and then you have one in Florida. You want to have a Virginia page and a Florida page that has information about both of those locations. And then you should actually have a separate instance for each of those locations on Google+. You should have a separate one for Facebook as well. So you should be listing them separately.
Okay, great, thank you. So what if you don't have an address and are a service?
If you don't, well, I assume that you would have a headquarters of some sort. So you can actually, in Google, you want to claim your Google listing because your Google listing actually is called Google My Business. It ties back to Google Maps so people can find you. For service companies, you can actually pick your service area. So you can put what your headquarters address is, but then you can select what area you actually cover. And that's how I tend to help our service companies out.
Okay, great, thank you. So regarding NAP for local listings, what if you're using tracking numbers for different advertising sources? What's more important, the tracking number or the consistency of NAP?
Oh, yes, we've run into that question often. Generally, you're going to want to use the same phone number, unfortunately. I know it makes it very difficult to track, but if you want to make sure that you show up in organic search results locally, it's vital that your phone numbers all match. And I have run into that issue before with clients. So I understand the pain there, believe me. Unfortunately, you have to keep all the phone numbers the same.
Okay, thank you. So regarding social media, someone says, I put together a team from different teams in our company, like the sales teams and the client-facing people. What would you recommend to start with them? How would they brainstorm different content topics? And
yeah, I think that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you can even set up certain things on certain days. Like you'll get a sales tip on Tuesday and you'll get a marketing tip on Wednesday. And if you can get your team to do those on Facebook Lives, it will be so much more effective. Or even if you took their content and once a week you created a show, literally like a Facebook show, same time, same place, and you'll see that a lot of people are starting to do this, but the algorithms will just really work in your favor. But if you can do that, you can even interview somebody from your team. I actually did that yesterday for somebody that we work in kind of the same space, and we did a Facebook Live where she interviewed me, but it's how, visibility related to her business as well. So that would be a great thing to do if you could get people on camera. And even people who don't want to be on camera sometimes are not as uncomfortable if they're just answering questions from somebody they work with. So I hope that helps.
Okay, yes, thank you. Could you explain boilerplate a little more?
Oh, yeah. So when you start responding to HARO on a regular basis, some things are always going to be the same. There are things about your business and one of the gifts you're going to get from me is a cheat sheet on how to respond to these really effectively. But there are some things, maybe it's just a little bio at the end that's always the same, so you don't have to retype it. Maybe it's a statistic from your industry that you're going to use every time you do a HARO because it's so compelling and it's so strong. So I just recommend cutting and pasting and then making a quick edit versus having to type an entire email over and over and over again. And I used to keep boilerplates like this would be for business magazines. This would be, because I had a lot of topics, this would be for invention type stuff. And then you just categorize it. And then when something comes up, boom, you just pull that boilerplate in, make a quick edit in your email and shoot it off.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I have a couple more questions here. Are there any easy to use video creation apps that you would recommend?
I don't know what they mean by video creation apps. I turn on my camera. I have a Mac and I use ScreenFlow to edit. iMovie, I think it's Camtasia for non-Mac computers. But I literally just use my phone. The days of all this professional video stuff and we all read off of teleprompters and everything was so scheduled and perfect are gone. People want to know who they're really working with. They want the authentic you. Like I said, my Facebook Live being sideways, everybody loved it. It was hysterical. So just get started turning on your camera and find an editing program that you're comfortable with. Like I said, I use ScreenFlow, Camtasia, anything like that. There's so many things out there. And again, if I can use these, they're not hard to learn how to use. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's see. What do you do if you get a disparaging backlink? How do you go about rectifying it?
Sure, that's a great question. So there's a couple things that you can do. One is you can try to reach out to the owner of the website or blog or whomever it is, and ask them nicely to take it down. So that's one. And usually you do have to do a couple tricks to find out who the correct person is at the company to contact. Just like Christina uses LinkedIn for reporters, it's also a great way to figure out who at the company might own the website that you can actually contact directly. The second thing to do, and how a lot of really large organizations do it, is you start doing your best to get positive backlinks up so that you push the negative one down in the search results. So that's actually the second way, and it is the way that a lot of, like I said, large organizations do it, because those people generally who are doing like bad reviews will just will not take it down. So the only way that you can handle it is by trying to push that bad review down.
Okay, great, thank you. So it looks like those are all the questions that I have for today. I want to thank you guys again so much for joining us in our webinar today, and be sure to look out for that email either later on today or tomorrow with the slides, the recording, the checklist, and Christina's toolkit. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.